Sometimes he is. All right, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, June 8th at 6:30. We're here in the Oregon School District Innovation Center for our June meeting of the Board of Education of the Oregon School District. Katie, could you please call the roll?
Dr. Bush, Ms. Garrison. Yep. Mr. Hensel.
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter.
Yes.
Dr. Lakuta. Ms. Wright. Here. Mr. Pankratz.
Present. Board has a quorum of 5 and calling this meeting to order. So for tonight's meeting, Katie has shared the proof of notice, so that has been appropriately posted. And our agenda for this evening, typical consent calendar, as well as our informational items. We have 3 action items, which is, number 1 is the 2026-2027 preliminary budget, open enrollment spaces for next year, and we will consider canceling our July 27th board meeting. And then we have discussion items and informational items. We will, after we convene this meeting, we will move into a work session in the room next door, which is regarding the splash pad. And then we also have a closed session tonight. And I'll read this. This is consideration of adjourning to closed session on item G1 is provided under Wisconsin Statutes 19.851E. That is for discussions regarding negotiating the SRO agreement for the 2026-2027 school year pursuant to statute Wisconsin 19.851E. So that is our proposed agenda for tonight, and I would entertain a motion to approve that. Motion by Mr. Hensel. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Garrison. Katie, please call the roll on the agenda approval.
Mr. Hensel.
Yes.
Ms. Garrison.
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter.
Yes.
Ms. Wright.
Yes.
Mr. Pankratz.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. We have an approved agenda. Okay, we are going to move right into our consent calendar. You all have the consent calendar in your meeting notes, and I just want to highlight a couple of things. So we have some new staffing assignments for the upcoming year. Those are there's an updated version of that at your desk. I will not read through those, but I do want to recognize some retirements, or a retirement. So we have one retirement, Becky Piper Hayhurst, retirement effective June 12th. After 24 years of service as a history teacher at OHS. So thank you, Ms. Piper Hayhurst, for your dedicated service to the district. And then also noting that there is a field trip request in the packet as well. So I would consider a motion to approve the consent calendar. Motion by Ms. Wright. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Garrison. All those in favor, actually, let's do roll call on the contracts.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Garrison? Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Mr. Pankratz?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you for that. All right, we'll go to our informational items and we'll start with our superintendent's report, student highlights.
Thank you. I have some fun things to share with you. Let's see. The first one is Drew, and Drew is working as a design intern at Sub-Zero, Wolf, and Cove. In this role, Drew simulates solutions to problems using 3D and CAD design. He especially enjoys the problem-solving process and being empowered to explore new ideas. It's pretty amazing to think of a student intern being empowered to explore new ideas. That's really great. Our next person is Aiden, who works as an electrical youth apprentice at Westfall and Company. And during a typical workday, Aiden works with PVC pipes and prepares materials for electric wiring. Then we have Olivia. This is our third spotlight tonight. She's a caregiver at Beehive Homes. Olivia helps to feed residents during dinner and get them ready for bed. She especially enjoys talking with the residents and learning about their unique lives. So sophomore and junior years are the perfect time to investigate youth apprenticeship options. Contact your school counselor or Ms. D'Amelio, our school to career coordinator, to discuss this great option. Oh, hold on. I have one more. I would hate to miss somebody. This is Avery. Avery works as a file clerk at Tri-North Builders, and in this role, Avery enjoys assisting with office tasks such as filing records, calendaring, printing, and organizing. So, nice job. And then, of course, just one more quick thing. We want to shine a spotlight on the class of 2026. There's much more about this wonderful class at the end of the meeting, but we wanted to share a little piece at the beginning as well because it's such a, is there a video? Yes. Such a bright highlight for the entire district as we approach this culminating experience.
See my reflection in the snow-covered hills where the landslide bring it down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills where the landslide bring it down.
All right. Thank you for that, Dr. Bergstrom. That was a touch. Yes, right. If that doesn't bring a tear to your eye, then I don't know what would. All right. Next up, we have public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment this evening? Anyone here for public comment? One last call, public comment. All right. Seeing none, we'll move to, OEA is here. Rachel's here, but no report. Moving right into action items. So we'll start off with the 2026-2027 preliminary budget. Mr. Wyland.
All right, Katie, cue the emotional music. No, too late. All right, no, sorry. If you've heard me talk about the budget process, it is a little strange in Wisconsin because different components of it have been added on over time. It would make a lot more sense to you if you were back in the 1990s, early 1990s. And that process basically had kind of a annual meeting where the tax levy was approved typically in the summer, which is the start of our fiscal year in July. That has been changed since about 1993-94 when revenue limits were added and a bunch of unknowns became a part of the process until the fall. So last year, or the year before last year, there were some suggestions made where we tried to make some estimates and actually have the board approve those estimates before the fiscal year starts, which is July 1st, in this new world of revenue limits that have existed for 30 years. In the past, we really set the budget in motion in February or March when we did our staffing report. Because as you know, a good portion of our budget, over 70-some%, is based on salaries and benefits related to our employees. So for sure that when we start talking about things, staffing has to be a component of it. And so we pretty much set the budget kind of on a path in February, March of the prior year, of that year. So what we're trying to do this evening is kind of solidify those estimates that we did in February and March with a couple changes. And I don't have any slides for you this evening, but you do have the packet, which kind of talks about those differences from that March meeting where we approved the staffing. And then in a very general sense, puts together on a functional basis how the budget is spent or how the budget would be balanced throughout the year in the different funds that we have. So we have kind of kept you up to speed at a couple different meetings as to some changes. We were really hopeful the last time I was here that we were going to have some very positive changes related to special education revenues. Unfortunately, that fell apart kind of at the last minute to the chagrin of a lot of people. There is a small sliver of chance that something may still happen, but right now we have no indication that it will for the future. So the assumptions that we have built into the preliminary budget do not include that compromise that was kind of agreed to by the governor and one of the houses of the legislature. So the things that have changed in this budget, should you approve it tonight, the main thing that we've included is, other than some differences in revenues and expenditures that have kind of changed, things such as the insurance is not at 12%, it's at the lower amount that we actually signed the contract with GHC on. Some other things that we have talked about over time, kind of becoming a little bit more conservative with our enrollment estimates. The main thing that we included in here just this last week was an additional kindergarten teacher for Forest Edge. And that was because the enrollments there suggest that we really didn't have much of an option based on where we were, and understanding that the area is still being actively developed, and we would anticipate, maybe some more students. Not sure if they'll be kindergarten or not, but there's a chance that there could be more kindergarten students because that is an active development area in our district. So we felt the safest thing was to add that kindergarten teacher for Forest Edge for next year, and we updated our enrollment estimate a little bit. So we made it more conservative, and then we were looking at the kindergarten numbers and going, okay, we can probably go a little bit higher on that estimate in order to afford the kindergarten teacher, because again, enrollment means additional funds. So that's what we did, is we made those two modifications actually last week. So with that being said, again, there's not the intention of spending additional money or additional positions or anything of that nature other than the kindergarten teacher, and pretty much everything else is same as it was in March, except for those modifications which are identified in the document here, which are for the most part little changes that have happened in the last several months. The budget is, quite honestly, a document that is living, and at some point in time, you kind of have to freeze it and say, all right, this is our best estimate. For our district, that really happens in October when we adopt the original budget. So with that being said, I'm going to pause and see if anyone has any questions.
Any questions from board members? Nathan, go ahead.
No, no questions, just an appreciation for, I think, the preliminary process that we kind of take here in June before we start in July. And secondly, I really like and appreciate that graphic that kind of steps through soup
Yeah.
to nuts where we are in the process, as lengthy as it is, as you explained. So helpful graphic. I don't know if that's on the slide for anybody watching, but I think, getting us all grounded in education on kind of how it comes together is important. So thank you.
We will give Erica Mundinger the credit for that, coming up with that graphic, wherever she is. Oh, at the lacrosse banquet. Okay, well, somebody make sure we tell her that. So. The only other thing I will just mention, if there are any questions, is I do kind of foreshadow a couple things that are out there, some of which we've talked about, some of which we haven't, that will have to be thought of as we continue through the budget process this summer and into the fall. If we have any flexibility, we do have the curriculum adoption issue that we have out there. We can get through another year if we need to, but eventually that is going to be something that is going to have to be addressed. We also have a very difficult year this year with our HVAC contractor and some of the equipment, some of which we are still working to try to figure out why that happened. Some mechanical breakdowns that do not seem like they should be happening. We're investigating that right now with the product supplier at Forest Edge. And then lastly, we do have some competitive pressures on some of our positions in the district that we just want to make sure that you're aware of, that we're kind of processing through, that we may have to work through.
Thanks, Andy. Just to make sure I'm understanding, we are understanding, so I see the 3 areas of budget concerns. How does that, right, I'm always thinking about holistically, how does that compare to some of the wish list staffing or the other things that didn't quite make it into the budget for understandable reasons? I think about, especially we're talking about the FES growth, right? I think there was an assistant principal. Yes, thank you. Or other things like that. That's not the only one, but just
How do those fit with
how
that?
do those fit when we're looking at some of this?
It's a very
too?
fair question. How do I say this? What we tried to kind of do is, we had to do something related to kindergarten, otherwise we were going to be in trouble there. With HVAC, honestly, those expenses are going to happen. And there's no real stopping it, or we would. So that's something that we got to adapt to, or we got to figure out why it's happening so that we stop it. Honestly, this is the first time in my 27 years that we've had this type of issue, so we are putting significant resources trying to figure out what's going on with that. I'd say the competitive pressures that we have, are something that we deal with on kind of an ongoing basis, but we didn't want to leave that off the list. So I would say that those things are kind of a little bit ahead of the list of things that we have identified in the past. And the curriculum, again, we can wait. The curriculum that we're purchasing this next year will fit within the allocation, but eventually it's going to be a big cliff that we're going to have to deal with if we don't figure out a way to get that allocation larger. Does that hopefully answer your questions?
Yeah, yes, it does. And I know obviously we want all of it, right?
Yep.
Or we don't want HVAC costs, but we want to be able to do everything when we're in a financial situation that doesn't allow us to do that for many reasons. I won't repeat the whole special education and legislative support. I guess my other question then is, are there any chances of better news, as we get close, is there any potential for
Yeah.
ooh, this looks good?
So the legislation that's out there, we had some interesting situations where the outgoing House Speaker is still wanting to have a vote, and the governor is still wanting to have a vote. So there's potential. I would say, life support maybe type of thing, if we're looking for an analogy there. I would also say, our student enrollment may come in better than what we anticipated. We'll have a better feel for that in September when we open the doors and see who shows up. That's both on our open enrollment as well as our resident growth. So we are on the conservative side, I would say. I'd say we ratcheted that down a little bit. It's interesting every year as you go through the process and you watch new people move in, everybody gets a little giddy might be the too aggressive a word, but people are like, oh, more and more people are coming in. But then as we kind of go through the summer and everything, you see the people that leave and the people that come. And so I like to kind of try to balance that off a little bit. And I think we were maybe a little bit too aggressive when we came up with our estimates. But if we're not too aggressive, then we're going to be happy in the fall. And we'll be able to hopefully address some of these issues a little bit better. Yeah, the biggest issue is there's a structural imbalance between the senior class where we're graduating 330 and we're bringing in 260 or so or 270 of kindergartners. You got to bring in so many, you got to bring in that 60 more kids somewhere throughout the district. And right now we actually are feeling like, well, we're down to I think 20 or a little bit less than that we still feel like we have to get to so we can get to the number that's in the budget. So I think that's very doable. Maybe we could exceed it. We do have lots of areas of new construction in our district. So I don't think that's insurmountable, and there's probably a good chance that we would have a little bit more flexibility as we get into the new year.
Okay, so this is actually for Andy. Can you talk about, so Fund 46 on here is on here for capital improvement. It talks about the solar,
Yeah.
high school solar project that is not going to be finished, but then,
So portion of it should hopefully be turned on within the next week. There was always supposed to be in two phases. So the first phase was going on the roof that was redone last year, and then the second phase goes on the roof that's going to be done this year. And so the second phase will be turned on in about August. Is the intent. We are waiting for Alliant Energy to give us, they have to do a couple tests and then they can turn the power on. The panels have been up there for like a month. So we're just waiting for Alliant, and they told us by June 15th, which I think is Thursday-ish, or 13th maybe it is. It's sometime this week. They should have that part done, and then within a day or two after they've done their tests, they will let us energize those panels.
okay, so this is a revenue thing, not something that we're needing to
Correct.
add additional money to. That's what I was confused about.
No.
Okay.
What happens, if you recall, when we approved this project, the savings that those panels are going to produce go back to paying for those panels. So we're kind of refunding the fund that fronted the money.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions about the budget? Caleb?
I don't have a question. I just have a very quick comment. I think it's important to point out that our district has been incredibly well managed financially. And it's interesting to look at the projections and kind of where talking about HVAC projects, curriculum in the classroom, making sure that salaries are just competitive with our, other districts in the area. I mean, we're literally talking about like innovative curriculum in the classroom, keeping teachers and staff in our schools, and literally keeping the heat and air conditioning running, right? These are essential things. And it just feels like we're getting closer and closer to the point where, even though we've been incredibly well managed financially, things are getting very, very tight. And I keep wondering at what point, and you did talk about this a little bit in the preliminary budget, that at some point, we're going to be having to make very difficult budgetary decisions. And I just think it's important to point out that, and I hope that anyone listening at home and all those of us in the room and around the table we just continue to advocate for more state support. I know there's a lot of kind of unrest out in the community about property taxes and those kinds of things. And a big reason why folks are feeling that pinch is that so many of the costs that the state really should be picking up are getting passed on to local communities in the form of property taxes, not just for schools, but also for other essential services. And looking at the preliminary budget, I was just really struck by the fact that, you know, we're getting closer and closer to the point where we're going to have to make really tough decisions. And that was just something I noticed, and I think it's something worth highlighting again. Thanks.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make it.
Motion by Ms. Garrison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Bush, and that is to approve the 2026-2027 June preliminary budget as presented in our packet. Is there any further discussion? All right, Katie, please call the roll.
Ms. Garrison? Dr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Hensel? Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Pankratz?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. We have a 6-0 now. Thank you. We have a preliminary budget again. All right, moving along. We have our next item.
Is in January, and that is a function of state law. And so we do try to be conservative in our numbers because it is January, and we know that we have growth and resident or construction in our district. And so we have an opportunity at this meeting in June to open up additional spaces if we feel that there is room. And so we are seeking for the board tonight to approve the spaces in Table 2 so that we have more space. And it's always that balancing act because we don't want to increase our class sizes through open enrollment, but we do want to help our budget if we can fill in with open enrolled students where there is space. And so that is our goal tonight. I will note that we are asking to add spaces in kindergarten, but given the situation at Forest Edge, it's highly unlikely that any of these students would be placed at Forest Edge. We do have room in some of our other schools. And so placement is a factor, as you can imagine, in whether or not families choose to send their students to our district. And as Mr. Weiland talked about, we also don't know, we know some move-outs, but we really find out our move-outs really much later in August, if not the first week of September. So we look at historical numbers on move-outs as well. So in looking at all of our spaces, if I can direct your attention to Table 2, we are asking the board to approve 4 additional spaces in kindergarten. Like I said, it would be highly unlikely those students would be placed at Forest Edge. 3 spaces in 4th grade because that's when the class size guidelines go up to 25, so that gives us some additional space there. And then 3 spaces in 7th grade and 2 spaces in 8th grade, which I know looks tight, but we did have Dr. Anderson review the section sizes because as students progress through our district, it isn't the same neat class size that we have in our elementary schools. It really depends on the course selections that students take and where they are in terms of things like math. And so we feel really comfortable that we will still have space and class size guidelines will be met at the middle school if we take these few students. So with that, I will pause and open it up for questions.
All right, who would like to start with questions on open enrollment? Dr. Bush?
This is just a question that puzzled me a little bit when I looked at the new Table 2, the new spaces requested. And this might be an obvious question, and I apologize if it is. 7th grade has a maximum capacity of 325, 8th has a maximum capacity of 300. Is that just based on the literal number of students in each grade, or because they're both at the 7th and 8th grade are at the same school? So
Right, so we look at how many sections we have on paper times 25 students, which is our class size guideline that the board set. But again, you really have to look at the physical schedule and what the students selected and to see where our class sizes were. So on paper, it looks like we don't have room, but if you actually go in, and Dr. Anderson did go and look at the master schedule, and she is my middle school schedule expert. I am still learning that schedule, that we feel we do have room for these students. And again, we also know that we're gonna have move-outs in middle school, but we don't always know them in June. So we feel really comfortable that we have space for these students. And we are trying to balance that where you'll see in the materials, as Mr. Wellen pointed out, that we have 346 seniors graduating and we have 259 kindergartners enrolled. So now we are projecting more kindergarten students because it's early for enrollment, but every student who comes to us through open enrollments helps us with that gap. But we wouldn't do that if we felt that it was going to push us over the class size guidelines. So we feel really comfortable that we can take these middle school students.
I think this is just me maybe not quite understanding the numbers correctly, but like looking at, for example, that seventh grade, how we get to that three, like how we calculate that maximum capacity makes sense. But am I reading this right that like it would in table 2, so we have 2 approved in the open enrolled, 1 total space available, and then you're saying ask for another 3 to add to that. So would that feels like it's taking us to like 328, which would be another section, or am I like
Right. No, you're doing the math right on paper. It's just that in 7th and 8th grade, it gets a little bit more challenging because students have more choices, right? So you can take orchestra, you can take band, you can take choir, you can take STEAM, but you don't have to, right? You can pick a study hall. And so maybe you're in algebra, or maybe you're in geometry, or maybe you're in math 6, 7. I don't want to say that. Thank you. 6, 7. See, thank you, Ms. Zinon. And so, or maybe you have chosen enriched English. So it really depends where kids start choosing, right? So it isn't that you have 25 kids in this class and 25 kids in that class. We have to look at the master schedule and see. And so we felt that there was enough space in where we think the students are going that we can take those 3 additional students. Does that help?
It does. Thank you.
Any other questions? And just a reminder that we did, as our typical year, we approve 1 set of open enrollment numbers in January, and then we come back in June and update them. So is there a motion to approve the additional open enrollment spaces as identified in Table 2 based on current enrollments and space in those grades? Motion by Mr. Hensel. Is there a second?
I'll make that a second.
Second by Mr. Ledbetter. Katie, please call the roll. Any further discussion before we call the roll? All right, Katie.
Mr. Hensel? Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Dr. Bush?
Yes.
Ms. Garrison? Ms. Wright? Mr. Pankratz?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. All right, next item we have consideration of canceling our July 27th board meeting. So typically we cancel the second meeting in June and the second meeting in July. Proposing to do the same this year. So I guess we could start with a motion, if there is one, or discussion. Thank you, Heather. Motion by Heather. Is there a second? I'll second. Second by Leslie. Any discussion? Katie, please call the roll for cancellation of the June 27th board meeting. July, thank you.
Ms. Garrison? Ms. Wright? Dr. Bush?
Yes.
Mr. Hensel?
Yes.
Mr. Ledbetter?
Yes.
Mr. Pankratz?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Okay. I need to back up. I overlooked when I was approving the consent calendar, I overlooked our donations to the district. So I just want to take a moment to recognize our generous community. So first off, we have a food service balance donation of 9 individuals of all various amounts. And we have 11 donations from individuals or families who donated for a field trip fees that for families in need. We have the Oregon Area Chamber of Commerce who donated $300 to support Social Studies America 250 event. We have an anonymous donation of $10,000 to support the OHS Orchestra program. We have a $4,000 donation from the Oregon Area Food Pantry that's for food service balances for those students who do not qualify for free or reduced lunch, but they did apply. The Oregon PTO donated $300 to the Transportation for Nature Club. Matthew and Heather Young donated $279 to the Middle School Drama Club. Oregon Choral Boosters $100 to Brooklyn Accompaniment. Jamie Callan and Deanna Desher $2,795.47 for food service balance donation. Jerry Bauer and Ellen Bauer, $40 to the OMS Green Team. Nicholas White, $50 to the OMS Band Program. Mount Horeb Truck Parts donated $1,000 to the OHS Home Construction Program. Wisco Industries, $1,400 for the Wisco Industries Scholarship. Nicole Buell, $2,000 for the Jeremy Buell Memorial Scholarship. Papa Murphy's donated 262 certificates for graduating kindergartners. And then Georgette Stratton, $40.47 for a high school student assistance fund. So as always, we greatly appreciate all of those very generous donations. All right, back to our regularly scheduled agenda here. Discussion items, we'll go to committee reports, and we'll start with Vision Steering Committee. That's you, Nathan.
Yeah, the last time that we met, we dedicated the entire meeting to talking about the splash pad, which I think will have a continuation here at our workshop following.
And do we have another meeting scheduled yet?
We do. I didn't know if that was under informational, but we are planning to meet again on Monday the 15th. I'm corresponding with Shannon right now on some agenda topics, so we should have that posted in time for the committee. We are planning to meet just an hour after policy.
Okay, great.
It'll be 6:30.
Thank you. Next up. 5:30? No. Policy, yes. Policy, Heather.
Yes, our next meeting is also June 15th. We will be at 5:30, followed by Vision.
Oops. All right, thank you, Heather. All right, moving into our informational items, visioning and strategic planning. This is Dr. Bergstrom's last presentation of this material.
It is, and it will be brief because we have a lot to celebrate regarding our students, and I want to spend a little more time on their sweet and interesting pictures and activities and a little less time on some of these other pieces. But very similar to what Dr. Bush pointed out when we discussed the budget is a reflection of our priorities. And as we were talking through the things that are included in the preliminary budget that you just approved, it is about how do we strengthen the student experience through a class size that's reasonable and manageable and allows for a positive learning environment? How do we attract and retain our amazing staff in a highly competitive market? All of these pieces are a part of our priorities, a part of our strategic planning, and are certainly reflected in the budget. And I just wanted to take that opportunity to mention that's really important to us. No teaching and learning update today. I think you'll see a lot of it in our slides about what our students are doing at the end of the year. But as far as the federal and the state legislative update, I think the key piece is what Andy shared, is that the bipartisan deal that would have potentially brought us up to the 42 and the 45%, or at least closer to it, is, I believe the last headline was two more votes in its favor, and they would consider reconvening. So we'll see how that goes, but I don't think any of us should be thinking about or planning our future forward based on that. We just know that there are things that are sort of waiting in the wings should we be able to have a better financial outlook. And I'll move on to the part everybody's waiting for anyway, the superintendent report, because these are always so nice. So we'll start off with the staff acknowledgement, which we celebrated last month, which is Speech and Language Pathologist Day. So look at how many of our speech and language pathologists work within the school district. There were significantly fewer when I started here. And so the needs of our students have definitely changed over time. And once again, that is reflected in the budget and the fact that we need more specialists to meet the needs. So thank you to all of them for their continued efforts to enhance student speech and language skills and support their daily learning. We're very grateful to have them a part of the team and appreciate all that they do. And this is Brooklyn Kindergarten. So they had a performance that they just kind of stole the show with their fantastic circus performance. So if any of you have experienced this, I'm sure it brings back fond memories for you. They had roaring lions, majestic elephants, powerful, strong men and women, daring tightrope walkers, I would have liked to see that, and so much more. This is all under the direction of Mrs. Rutz, and the students brought incredible, as you can imagine, creativity and energy and joy to every act. Our hearts are still full from watching this. So proud of them. I think the idea that joy belongs in the student experience is a really, really key piece to what we do here. And next, we have Brooklyn students learning about pollination. So they've been diving really deep into science with modules 3 and 4 of second grade, and it's called The Secret World of Pollination and Providing for Pollinators. They've been learning all about what plants need, discovering the amazing world of various pollinators, and finding ways to protect them. So students created seed packets and then explained why butterflies need our help and wrote step-by-step planting instructions, and then we'll take them home to start their very own backyard butterfly gardens. Mind you, this is our English language arts curriculum, right? So it's a way to have a multidisciplinary approach to all of the skills that they are building through this process. So you see them putting this learning to action in the recent Brooklyn Elementary garden overhaul. So it'll be exciting to see all the gardens bloom. So let's go pollinators. And then we get to the wonderful students at Netherwood. A few months ago, we shared that some of our students from Netherwood were selected to display their flag designs at the Forward Madison game. Well, here are a few pictures of our fourth grader, Maddie Klein, rocking the field with her winning design. And but we missed a third grader, Graham Schnelly, who wasn't able to attend. But we're so incredibly proud of both of our talented artists. Way to go, Maddie and Graham. And I think there's going to be some fun things happening related to that on the last day of school at Netherwood too. So that celebration isn't quite over. And then Mega Math Meet. So congratulations to our 5th and 6th grade math team who won the Mega Math Meet that recently took place at UW-Madison. This is the first time that our team has achieved this, this honor of winning the whole meet. Super proud of all of you. Your hard work really paid off. Way to go with that. Oh, and then another thing we're really proud of, Forest Edge celebrated its 2nd annual Marigold Festival. The marigold symbolizes growth, connection, and the strength of our multilingual and multicultural community. At the end of the year celebration, the festival brought students and family and staff together to enjoy delicious dishes from Forest Edge multilingual families, local food trucks, face painting, marigold-themed crafts, and a meaningful time spent in the community. Principal Majeski estimated there were over 400 people in attendance. So it was a joyful evening of connection, celebration, and honoring that wonderful year of learning, growth, and belonging. And then for RCI, we want to highlight our concerts. Their gymnasium has been a very busy place lately, and it was recently filled with the joyful sounds of 5th and 6th grade orchestra students. So thanks to our orchestra educators for this beautiful night of music. We love hearing you play. And then a math lesson turned into a wild adventure. Let's see this one. 5th grade students in Ms. Kramer's class at Rome Corners spent the day at Camp Kramer. While cozied up in their tents, students worked together to solve multi-step, camp-themed math story problems. Teachers are so creative. Using flashlights to read and analyze each problem helps students stay focused and think carefully about what each question was asking them to do. To top it all off, students enjoyed a special camp treat. They had s'mores trail mix. So I just can only imagine how much work it took for the teacher to put on something that was that fun for the afternoon. And they do those great things all the time. So in recognition and preparation for our country's 250th birthday celebration this year, Oregon middle school students took some time last week to learn about the Declaration of Independence. In addition, students wrote letters to veterans who will be going on the Badger Honor Flights next fall. So keep up this really important and thoughtful learning. That was great. It was the perfect day. It was such a nice day for our Oregon Middle School 8th graders to do their service project at Lerner Park. During the experience, students partnered with Rotary Club of Oregon to remove invasive species, to plant native grasses, and to maintain the park's walking trails. We've always loved, this is 25 years of this, everybody. This hands-on learning activity that really gives back to the local community. And you can see where the plantings have come over the past 25 years. So the students can see how much progress this day of work actually makes for this beautiful park that everybody can enjoy. So we're super grateful to the 8th grade educators who organized this, and then to the Rotary Club for this important partnership. So many Rotarians were here on this day helping to make all of this happen. And then visiting at OHS, following Lerner Park, the 8th graders went over to OHS as another step in their transition to high school. And if you can believe it, this will be the class of 2030. Our upper class students and Pride Crew and student leaders hosted an activities fair to give a preview of what our amazing school has to offer. And we look forward to welcoming them to the high school in the fall. And then our middle school band musicians put on a fantastic show at the recent spring concert. We loved the musical selections you shared and seeing the joy you had while playing. Congratulations to all of them. We also had our OHS history students sat down with a panel of local Vietnam veterans to listen to their powerful stories of service and sacrifice. Hearing these firsthand accounts was incredibly impactful for our students, and we're grateful to Charlotte Journey, Dan Bartles, Chuck Hoffman, Fred Enfield, Dennis Fisher, and Keith Podel for sharing their time and their legacy with all of our students. And then another tradition that's really pretty cool, OHS Baseball Teacher Night. So our players recently honored a special teacher who's made a big impact in their lives during our baseball team teacher appreciation night. This is something that happens on most, if not all, of our teams, and it's a really wonderful way to say thank you to all the educators who do so much to make a difference. And then we have the OHS track team regional champions. That's really exciting. Both the boys and the girls track and field teams are officially your 2026 regional champions. Both teams finished second place in the sectional meet and qualified 23 different student athletes for WIAA state meet, which took place this past weekend. It was a really unbelievable postseason filled with a lot of personal records, school history, and success across the board. That's a really large group to go to state. That's really cool, and we couldn't be prouder of the team and the coaching staff. And then our boys golf team recently wrapped up an incredible time on the course, and they are officially regional champions, sectional champions, and state qualifiers. So really, really proud of how hard all of the kids have worked to get themselves there. And congratulations not only to our team, but to head coach Brad Drosty. And our boys tennis team recently won the Badger Conference title. Our teams are really doing well this spring. In addition, Eddie Enns, Gavin McGee, and Logan Martins competed at the state tournament. Congratulations team and varsity head coach Ethan Ullman. And then congratulations to our girls soccer team who recently won the Badger Conference title and who are regional champions. And now they're going on to the sectional final game here Thursday night against Middleton. We love watching you play. Congratulations to the Oregon High School senior athletes who have committed to playing at the collegiate level. Your dedication, your leadership, and your hard work really paid off. And we're proud of all of you and all that you've accomplished, and we can't wait to see what's ahead. We have 30 students committed to playing at the collegiate level right now. That's a really impressive number. Congratulations to our OHS art team members who have received recognition for their amazing work this spring. The Regional National Scholastic Art Competition, we had 3 high school students participate in that prestigious contest. The Federal Junior Duck Stamp Contest, OHS took 11 of the top 18 places, including 29 of the 30 honorable mentions. And then the Badger Challenge Art Show, OHS was named conference champions for the 5th time in the last 6 years. That's incredible. Our art students and our art teachers have so much to be proud of. Congratulations to Mr. Prahl's home construction team on an amazing final project. We're so impressed with your skills and what you've been able to create together. Congratulations to all of them. And as you may recall, the student leaders who attended the Multicultural Student Achievement Network conference in Washington joined us here at a board meeting earlier this year to share their experiences and what they learned. And as you may know, the group took this learning to the next level and recently hosted a special multicultural community event that was open to the entire community. We filled this room for the key speaker, and the key speaker was Dr. Gloria Ladson-Billings, professor from UW-Madison, and that was followed by lots of activities. They had face painting and DJs and dancing and a lot of food trucks, a resource fair. It was really a great night, so student-led. I'm so impressed by our students and have a lot of gratitude for all of the adults who worked alongside them to make that happen. And then we have our retirement banquet last week. So at the end of the year, we have lots of opportunities to celebrate. But last week was that ceremony to honor staff members who are retiring at the end of the year. They have given their time and their talents and their hearts to students and to families. And our deepest wish is that every one of them move into their well-deserved retirement with the certainty that your work will be remembered, cherished, and that you've made an incredible difference in the lives of kids. So thank you for a career filled with commitment, passion, and exceptional service. I hope they all have a wonderful time. And then, they're so cute. Celebrating our very special group, our OHS seniors. One fun thing is the Then and Now Challenge, where we invite families to submit photos of their seniors. And here's just a few to give you a sense of this treasured challenge. And then we had our senior breakfast. That was really fun. So many of our students received recognition from departments and other types of awards. And what was a really big theme was the kindness and the character of the students. The teachers who awarded the awards weren't given specific things that they were to highlight, but they all had a theme, and it was about the character of the students. And I just was really struck by it, and I thought there's really nothing more important than we can highlight than that. And then that group, after breakfast, all put on their gowns and they went out to get on a bus to go to their elementary school, to walk the halls and reminisce about where it all started. It's a huge treat for both our seniors and our elementary schools. The little kids are so excited, but I'd also say the former teachers are really excited too. And many of them have pictures of the students when they were in their grade, either on a poster or on the wall, so that when they're walking through the halls, they can see that. It's really special. And then I end the superintendent report with a way to check out the district podcast. It's currently there's a new episode that just launched last week on the OHS robotics team. Oh my gosh, those students were so amazing. What they have learned about the power of collaboration and how integrated all of their skills actually are in creating a successful team. I can't tell you how impressive they were. And we also had a super fun podcast with the graduation speakers that I know will be inspiring to all of you who are fortunate enough to be with us on Sunday. So make sure to like and subscribe. There you go. And then there's that one.
I'll take that.
Okay.
All right. It's my turn to do some celebrating. So there's so much to celebrate. And speaking of educators who have made an incredible difference in the lives of so many students, we have the honor tonight to recognize two of our retirees. So Dr. Weidense, you're first. Come on up, Candace. Candace? Dr. Weidense, we're going to say a few words. So Dr. Weidense has dedicated her career to serving students and families. She spent her first few years searching for her destination district, and we're so lucky she found it here in Oregon for the past 25 years. She has been a valuable team member, not only contributing her talents, but always being the first one to check in on others, asking if they are okay and how she can help. Wonderful photos here of Dr. Weidense's career.
You are, though. It's right there.
And an advocate for students. Most importantly, she is a fierce advocate for students. She's brought that lens to every discussion and decision. She takes the extra time to go above and beyond for all of our kids. And now, time for family. Congratulations on your very well-earned retirement. While we'll miss you, we are excited for you to move into the next chapter with even more time with your beloved family, Marty, and your two daughters, Mara and Allie. Thank you, Dr. Weidense. We greatly appreciate your time here.
I would just say thank you to all of the board, this year's board, and all the past 25. You've always been so supportive, and we've made a lot of progress. Actually, when I first started here, we had kids that we were busing from Brooklyn up to the district so that they could receive services. We haven't done that for a long time. That's fantastic in terms of our progress. I think we have a ways to go, and I think we can always improve, but I really appreciate the board's support throughout the whole piece of it. So thank you. It's been amazing.
Thank you. Thank you, Candace. All right, next up, Dr. Leslie Bergstrom, our superintendent.
Oh, yeah. I was pregnant. Yeah.
A lifelong educator, Dr. Bergstrom has had a 34-year career dedicated to serving families and students, and she has experience in all facets of the educational system. She started her career in education as a classroom teacher in the Madison Metropolitan School District, where she taught social studies at Madison East High School for 10 years. Anyone who knows Leslie understands that she has been passionate about education and learning from the beginning. It is just a part of her, and she poured this energy and care into each and every class and student she taught. That is reflected in the many, many heartfelt notes of thanks from her students over the years, just a couple of which are pictured here. After 10 years teaching, she entered administration as an associate principal at Cherokee Middle School. While she spent just 1 year in this setting before being lured away to OSD, you can clearly see the impact she made in that short time in the photo from the celebration thrown for her by the Cherokee staff. The road to Oregon, first stop, OHS AP. Then it was time to make a change when an opportunity to be part of the Oregon School District arose in 2005. Leslie decided to join the OSD as an associate principal at Oregon High School, where she spent 6 years. These pictures look like they were taken just yesterday.
It looks like my sister.
Rome Corners, intermediate principal. Of course, OSD realized what a gem we had with Leslie, and after 6 years, she was chosen to lead Rome Corners Intermediate School as the principal. She spent the next 5 years in this role, which is where she received the nickname Lovely Leslie. This was because of the continual compassion she showed to each and every person with whom she interacted, whether it be a staff member, a family member, community member, and certainly a student. She has a gift for truly listening, seeking to understand, and always being present to support. And as anyone who works with her knows, she is always feet on the ground, whether it be attending concerts, going on field trips, or countless other activities to support students and staff members. She is there. She is known for frequently expressing that being with the students is what keeps her grounded and gives her joy. And she keeps the kids at the center of her approach to leading and decision-making. Leslie spent 5 years at RCI before joining the district office team to become the Director of Teaching and Learning, a position that she held for 5 years before becoming Deputy Superintendent. In this capacity, Dr. Bergstrom had the opportunity to become involved in district-wide efforts and leadership. There are too many efforts to fully recount, but whether it be leading task forces, team learning, community forums, or student learning initiatives, it was done with care and compassion, and always with kids in mind. Our superintendent, and then the time had come. In October 2019, it was announced that Leslie would be the next OSD superintendent. For the last 6 years, as our superintendent, Dr. Bergstrom has simply been a remarkable leader. Again, there are too many things to list, but a few things that stand out include navigating us through a worldwide pandemic, leading us to create our OSD Portrait of a Graduate, and efforts to ensure the best teacher in every single classroom. And those are just a couple of the big ones. There's also the day-to-day, the events, the community engagement efforts, the staff support, and more. Through everything, she remained focused on our 5 values because she truly believes that it is our foundation and will always keep us centered. She deeply prioritizes what was best for kids at every single turn, and no matter what, she was always right there with the team every step of the way. For example, it was deeply important to Leslie to be at as many events to support our kids as possible. That meant everything from sporting events, concerts, back-to-school nights, dances, pep rallies, staff events, and more. Leslie never missed an opportunity to show her support for kids and staff, whether it be at a school event or out in the community. Note, the large photo was at our National Night Out event where kids were invited to write down what they were looking forward to about the start of school. And of course, Leslie couldn't wait to see our students. And she was an incredibly good sport when the district decided to introduce a new way to connect with our community and family. She was the host of our district podcast, Inside the OSD, for 4 seasons, during which time she hosted over 80 episodes. This required her to be on the move at all the time, whether it was in the OHS gym, at the state fair, on the set of plays and musicals, on the football field, or many other venues. She was always up for the challenge because it meant she got to talk with kids and learn about what they were doing. Every single conversation she had was authentic and inspiring, because that is how Leslie is. So, the next chapter. Moving forward, we know that Leslie will have plenty to keep her busy. She is surrounded by the most phenomenal family, and they love spending time together. Not to mention the most adorable grandchildren. The adoration Leslie has for them is so clear, and there are many more additions to the family on the way. So, bon voyage, Leslie. We know that more time boating is coming soon. We wish you the very best in your retirement and many more wonderful memories with family and friends. Thank you, Leslie. Congratulations on your well-earned retirement.
Aw, thank you. One of my daughters is behind these pictures. I can totally tell. Okay. That was quite a surprise and really touching. And all I can honestly say is this school district has meant so very much to me over the years, and this particular position has been the honor of my professional life. And you all do wonderful things for kids, and the people who are in this district give so much of themselves every day, all day, and everything that you all do to support them and to make sure they can keep doing what they do for kids is so worthy and so important. So thank you so much for the role the board plays in making sure our kids get all the great things that they deserve. And I'm just lucky to have played any role at all. So thank you.
All right, that brings us to our checkout. So we'll go around the table. Checkout. Who would like to start? Go ahead, Nathan.
Happy to start. Leslie, Candace, thank you so much for your time and for your tenure at the district. And you know, I won't try to compete with all of the details Troy had repeated. I had taken some notes down on a couple of key themes that I wanted to bring forward, but maybe just to kind of keep it short, the impact that you've made on the district, on our kids, on my family's kids, my two boys directly, and all the great work that you've done will continue to serve so many for so many years. So thank you for your committed careers to education. I really, really appreciate it.
I'll just keep it really short because apparently I can't handle it to say anymore, but your care and commitment for the district is just unbelievable. It's been a joy to watch you be such a high performer and so smart, and above all of that, I love to watch you and your patience and your empathy and your grace, and I've never once seen you rattled. And there have been plenty of times where you could have and maybe should have been rattled, but you just have a wonderful ability to navigate that with just real grace, and you will be greatly missed. However, you know, thrilled to have Dr. Anderson join, but you will definitely be a tough role to replace.
I just want to say, as somebody who moved here specifically for the schools and the school district and what that means for my kids, I know the impact that folks who have been somewhere for a long time has on the culture and what that ends up meaning for success, even as new people join. So thank you both for all of your time and your work and your amazingly hard effort in making Oregon successful.
So I think one thing that is increasingly common in the world that we live in, that's obvious, is that good leadership is really, really hard to come by. It's uncommon to have really good leadership, but it's critical to have really good leadership. And I think that's one of the great strengths of our school district, is that we have incredible leaders. including Candace and Leslie. And it really starts at the top and then trickles down from there to our schools, and then from there to the classroom and the classrooms. And to think about not just the fact that we've had such strong leaders, but the fact that also I had to do a little math, but I think if I'm right, Leslie 23 years in the district, and then Candace 25 years in the district. I mean, that to have good leaders, but also people who are here for over 2 decades is just incredible, and hard to replace. I know we'll do our best, and I'm confident that we will move forward. But I think it's just a testament to how critical good leaders are, that you all have been here in that role for 2 decades, more than 2 decades. It's pretty incredible. And thank you both.
So, okay, I thought I was gonna like handle this, but I'm not. Both of you, thank you so much for everything you do, because what it is that you both start with the kids, and you do everything possible in your power to help lift up the kids, but it's then not just the kids, it's the people around you. And I can say that if it weren't for the two of you and for Shannon, that you've made a huge difference in my life, period. I likely would not have gone back to school, and that has meant so much to me. So thank you so much for everything you guys have done, and will, I'm sure, even in retirement, continue to do. So thank you.
I'll keep it short, but just want to acknowledge that while this concludes your last meeting of the school year, it's just the conclusion of a significant chapter for our district. And I want to build on what Leslie said. You know, I can clearly say, Leslie, that I have grown as a leader just by being around you and by watching you. And you know, your ability to put kids first, and you've always been so steadfast and principled and compassionate, without question, no matter what challenge was of the day or the week, or you know, these really, really difficult days where issues tend to pile up on each other. I'll second what Heather said. I've never seen you rattled, ever. And that says a lot, because being a superintendent is an incredibly difficult job. I don't think there's another leadership role in society that has to balance the types of things that a superintendent does, from handling the issues with care, our educators that are overworked, you're interacting with a union. We have a budget that's driven by many, many complexities of state, local, and federal. You have food service, you have transportation, you have community ed, communication, and legal roles to play. And you handled it all just supremely well. Not to mention that you came to us during a worldwide pandemic, and you know, they say that you have the leadership that you need at the time, and I'm so thankful that we had you at the time to lead us through that with such grace. And I just really want to thank you for the partnership with the board and the staff that you've had with us. Just so much collaboration and respect, and you know, you didn't manage, you really partnered with us, and we can't thank you enough. So on behalf of the board, we offer you a deeply felt thank you and congratulations on what's next for you in retirement. So thank you very much, and thank you, Candace. All right, with that, we'll take a 5-minute recess, and then we'll reconvene next door for our work session.